The night is thick with fog as Cheon, a barefoot boy with long hair, runs through the mountains. His robe is torn and fear grips him. He doesn't see the snag ahead and trips. He tumbles down a steep slope, struggling to keep his balance. Pushing himself up with one hand, Cheon curses. He feels like the strength beneath his feet is vanishing. Slowly he stands up, using both hands now. As he looks around, he sees figures in robes. It hits him hard. This was all planned from the start. Cheon clenches his teeth. One enemy, high up on a tree branch, notices how fast the prince arrived. His comrades laugh, clearly bored of waiting. Cheon looks at the sharp blades in their hands. Weak and exhausted, he has no idea what to do. He shouts at them, wondering why they want him dead. He hasn't even had a chance to become king, and he was planning to leave the castle anyway. It makes no sense. The hooded man's eyes are cold. He says it doesn't matter whether Cheon wants the throne or if he was born with magic. He thinks Cheon should already know this. With a shrug, he leans his sword on his shoulder and says that since Cheon could still become king, his death is just a necessary step. His partner suggests Cheon should give up. Then they shock him by saying that even though he's of low-class blood, they'll at least make his death painless because he's the king's son. Cheon feels a wave of anger because they insult his mother. He pulls a knife from his robe, knowing they won't make it painless. If he's going to die, he'll fight to the end. The man in front of him isn't surprised. He assumes Cheon's bodyguard taught him martial arts, but when he sees how awkwardly Cheon holds the knife, he thinks differently. Blood really doesn't change much. The killer's eyes are locked on Cheon. He believes Cheon isn't a fighter, just someone too stubborn to give up, and that only makes him more amused. 4 cloaked men move in, rushing toward Cheon. He swings the knife, trying to defend himself. One of the killers moves quickly. With a single strike, he knocks the knife out of Cheon's hand. Cheon watches, in horror, as his weapon falls. The man grabs him by the neck, lifting him off the ground. He stares at Cheon, almost amazed that it's over. But Cheon doesn't panic. He pulls another knife from his belt. As the man's attention shifts, Cheon drives the blade into his throat. The killers freeze in shock. The man holding Cheon falls, choking on blood. Cheon lands lightly, rubbing his neck with a smirk. He knows he's not out of danger, but at least he took one down. The killers stand confused, unable to understand how someone without martial arts training could take down one of their own. Doubt begins to creep in as they question whether Cheon is bluffing or if he truly is as inexperienced as he appears. One of them, sword raised, charges at Cheon with a yell. He leaps and drives his knee into Cheon's chin. The prince falls, blood spilling from his mouth. Rage burns in the killer's eyes as he thinks of his fallen comrade, furious that Cheon is responsible. Without hesitation, he thrusts his sword into Cheon's side. Cheon screams, the pain tearing through him as he lies on the ground. The killer steps on his wound, grinning. He wants Cheon to suffer, to feel every second of pain before he dies. Cheon digs his fingers into the dirt, his mind racing. He's only managed to kill one, but at least it's something. The pain is intense, but he's not giving up. The killer laughs cruelly, enjoying every moment of Cheon's suffering. The killer's partner watches, uncomfortable with how slowly they're making him suffer, but admits there's no other choice now with one of them dead. Then suddenly a flash of light. The killer freezes, his face pale. His eyes widen as his partner is blown away by an explosion. The remaining killers stand stunned, unable to understand what just happened. Cheon looks at the bloody, lifeless body of the man in front of him. The killers stare at the corpse, still unsure of what they've seen. A figure steps forward, sneakers crunching on the ground. One of the killers notices, pointing toward the new threat. The killers stare at the new figure who stands in front of them, radiating an incredible aura. This man crackles with lightning, making it clear he is not someone they can take lightly. The killers hesitate, unable to approach him. He stands, with confidence, dressed in modern clothes, arms folded across his chest. One of the killers frowns, sweating nervously, as he has no idea who this person is or what he is wearing. With a smile, the man lowers his hands. Unable to hold back any longer, the killer draws his sword and rushes forward, demanding to know who this stranger is. The boy before them doesn't move, he just smiles. Another flash of light fills the air, and the attacking assassin is torn apart in front of his stunned comrades. One of the remaining killers freezes, horrified, as blood from his fallen partner splatters across him. The boy's lightning becomes even more intense. The killers are confused, unable to comprehend what is happening or how their enemy vanished so quickly, leaving only a strong gust of wind. One of them assumes it's the lightning step skill, but he can't believe it. In an instant, everything around him disappears, becoming as transparent as water. The next moment, his leader is dead, and the last assassin screams in terror. He struggles to understand the strange light he sees, horrified by the realization that it is the light of a fighter with the highest level of strength. The killer's attention shifts back to the light. He wonders why such a powerful fighter is helping this boy. Trembling, he grips his weapon with both hands. His gaze turns to Cheon, who is bleeding heavily and barely holding on. He decides, there's no hope for him now. The mission is complete. With that thought, the killer turns and attempts to flee. He leaps into the air, trying to escape in the opposite direction from his enemies. The man with lightning points at him. Instantly, the killer bursts apart, dropping his weapon as he falls. Cheon watches this unfold. He smiles, thinking it's funny. Then slowly, his eyes begin to close. The man who killed all the enemies is surprised to see the prince smiling, even in death. Cheon's eyes open again. He hears the mention of an ancestor, but he doesn't understand. Everything around him feels foggy. His eyes are heavy, and he struggles to focus on the figure before him. He feels cold, as if his body is growing numb. Breathing heavily, Cheon looks at the sky, certain that this is the end. The man checks his wristwatch and curses softly. He realizes he's been too late, and that he should have come earlier to give Cheon instructions on using the device he's carrying. Seeing Cheon on the ground, the man moves quickly. He prepares to inject something into the prince's chest, knowing time is running out. The syringe sinks into Cheon's chest, and even the man feels a wave of discomfort at the action. He raises the syringe, a smile on his face, and declares that it's done. Leaning over, he wishes Cheon good luck and hints that he has his own reasons for helping the prince. Standing up, the man slides his hands into his pockets and explains that the Nano Machine is the latest in technology. It will be easy for Cheon to use, and he wishes him luck as he figures it out. Then, without another word, he disappears, leaving Cheon alone. Cheon, confused and weak, doesn't fully understand what just happened. A mechanical voice rings in his head, announcing a 10-digit number. His eyes widen in surprise as he hears strange sounds, the voice continuing to inform him that the 7th-generation Nano Machine from Sky Corporation has been activated. Long ago, the warriors of the Celestial Empire developed a martial art to protect themselves. What started as a way of self-defense soon turned into a way of life. Over time, it grew into a complex system that included methods of nutrition, breathing, spiritual development, and more. The warriors passed their knowledge to future generations through special writings and sacred texts, gradually transforming it into a full-fledged teaching. Those who mastered this art of war, known as Murim, possessed powers far beyond those of ordinary people. One day, a group of young students united, eager to gain power and knowledge faster than their elders. They didn't want to share their newfound knowledge, and as a result, the Murim society split into traitors and loyalists. Unable to defeat each other, they maintained a fragile balance for a long time, until a completely different force emerged: magicians. Their teachings were called magic. This is the story of one who sought to overthrow the Lord of Magic and take the title for himself. This is the story of Prince Cheon. Cheon wakes up abruptly, his mind racing as memories flood back. He stares at his palms, surprised to be alive, remembering a sword piercing his stomach. He rubs his forehead, puzzled about what happened and why he's drenched in sweat. Suddenly nausea hits and he covers his mouth. To his horror, black spots cover his hand. His senses alert, he examines himself and notices a strange, poisonous smell and the stickiness on his body. A mechanical voice cuts through the silence, asking if he's awake. Confused, Cheon looks around, searching for the source. There's no one in the room. The voice asks again, urging him to calm down. Cheon wonders if it's an inner voice, but something doesn't feel right. He's only heard something like this once before, and it doesn't sound quite the same. After a moment of thought, he realizes the voice is in his head. The Nano Machine confirms his thoughts, and Cheon is stunned. He clenches his fists and demands to know who he's speaking to. The mechanical voice introduces itself as the 7th-generation Sky Compression Nano Machine, which has established a direct connection with Cheon's brain. His mind races, but the words make no sense. He closes his eyes and asks to be told plainly who the machine is. The voice repeats that it is a 7th-generation Nano Machine. Cheon tries to process what's happening, his mind filled with confusion. He considers the possibility that it might be a spirit. His thoughts drift back to the magical sacred fire, and he begins to question whether he is truly communicating with a spirit. The Nano Machine remains silent. Elsewhere, the white advisor, Baek, walks with Jang, discussing a recent failed assassination attempt. Baek suspects that the enemies are from a magical organization in the north, noting that the Lord's decision to leave them alive might prove fatal. Jang agrees, but they both remain uncertain about the identity of those who helped young Master Cheon. Jang recalls the horror he witnessed. bodies torn apart, with only one attacker left unharmed. He also remembers a knife embedded in the neck of one of the men given to the young prince. As they continue, Jang hears someone breathing and finds a blood-soaked body. It's Cheon, but something is wrong. Despite clear signs of a sword strike on his clothes, there's no wound on his body. His pulse is steady, as if he's merely sleeping. Beck, equally confused, suspects that something miraculous has happened to Cheon. Back in his room, Cheon, still kneeling, asks if the inner voice saved him. The Nano Machine denies it, clarifying that it prevented a fatal outcome by restoring his body. Cheon doesn't understand what lethal outcome means. The machine continues, suggesting that Cheon's mind should contain the answers, but Cheon, saddened, doesn't understand the term user. The Nano Machine pauses, then admits that it's searching for a more fitting term for this era. It adds that it's not the spirit Cheon thought it was. Cheon is shocked when he realizes the machine's dialect has shifted. He asks who the machine really is. The voice warns that it will begin downloading basic information and instructions into Cheon's mind and asks if he agrees. Cheon, confused but trusting, agrees. In an instant, lightning surrounds Cheon, and streams of information flood his mind. He's overwhelmed, feeling sick as he vomits on the floor. The Nano Machine reassures him, explaining that the nausea is common during the first transmission. It promises that future transmissions will be smoother. Cheon slumps back against the bed, still disoriented. He opens his eyes and calls out to the machine. He notices the black spots on his hand and asks if it means there are countless tiny mechanisms inside his body. The machine confirms, stating that there are currently over 6 trillion nanomachines distributed throughout Cheon's body. Cheon can't comprehend what this means, feeling both confused and amazed. He wonders if the nanomachine could leave his body if it wanted to. The voice refers to the information it transmits and explains that it can only leave Cheon's body in the event of his death. Cheon meditates on this, realizing that the mysterious stranger who dealt with the northern mages must have put the nano machine inside him. He wonders who it could have been, but doesn't have time to dwell on it. Suddenly, Jang knocks on the door and announces that the white advisor has arrived. Cheon jumps up, startled. He sits quietly, unsure what to do. He worries that if someone sees him talking to the machine, they'll think he's lost his mind. Lying back in bed, Cheon whispers to the nano machine, asking it to remain silent. The machine agrees, entering sleep mode. Jang and Baek enter, and Jang notices Cheon still seems to be awake. He approaches the bed, relieved to find Cheon conscious. Jang asks if he's okay, but quickly recoils, noticing a foul odor. Baek, curious, approaches and asks if Cheon remembers him. Cheon confirms, acknowledging that he couldn't forget Baek, who had come to treat his mother. Baek asks to check Cheon's pulse, assuring him it's nothing serious. Cheon hesitates, but offers his hand. Baek feels the pulse and is shocked. He remarks that it's amazing, and Yang panics, thinking Cheon is ill. Beck reassures him that the pulse is stronger than ever, suggesting that the toxins have left Cheon's body, leaving him in better health than before. He speculates that Cheon must have taken some kind of miracle substance. Jang is confused, and Beck, scratching his beard, explains that Cheon's body is now in perfect condition for mastering the martial art. Cheon realizes that the black substance on his body was the toxins being expelled. He's astounded that all of this happened because of the nano machine. The machine, sensing Cheon's thoughts, asks if he wants to wake up from sleep mode. Cheon agrees, and as soon as it's activated, a rush of energy surges through his body. The machine explains that it has removed harmful toxins and restructured his circulatory and muscular systems to optimize them for physical activity. Still processing what's happening, Cheon asks the machine if it's sure it's not a spirit. The machine reassures him that it's not a spirit, but a nano machine. Cheon relaxes slightly, then asks if the nano machines can go anywhere in his body and act according to his thoughts. The machine confirms this, and Cheon, realizing this is the same force that helped him survive, jokingly asks if it can help him become stronger. The machine responds that it can, but that will take. The magic cult is made up of various clans and families, but there are 6 main clans: Sword, Darkness, Stream, Poison, Sound, and Blade. The Lord swore an oath to marry a woman from each of these main clans, ensuring that each would bear him an heir. The successors, born and raised according to tradition, would eventually be accepted into the Magic Academy. This academy opens its doors once every 10 years. It was established to train the finest warriors of the generation and is run by the leading expert of the magistrate. There was a time when intense rivalries filled the academy, a time known as the Battles of the Heirs of the Magistrate, when multiple princes entered the academy at once. Cheon looks inside himself, questioning whether the entity inside him is. Sure, it isn't an evil god. The mechanism, in a calm tone, reassures him that it is simply a machine, not a god. Cheon, momentarily distracted, forgets that he's still lying in bed. He shifts away from Bayek, remembering Bayek's affiliation with the Poison Clan. He decides that he cannot reveal the presence of the Nano Machine to him. The mechanical voice then warns that, in this era, the technology of the time would not detect the Nano Machine's presence. Beck, thinking things through, is certain that someone has helped the prince. He examines Cheon's condition and concludes that although Cheon's body is physically sound, he'll still prescribe a tonic to help restore his energy. Jang expresses gratitude to the doctor, overjoyed by his assistance. He notices Bayek heading toward the door and suggests seeing him off. Beck declines, asking Jang to stay with the prince instead. As the white advisor exits the building, his mind wanders. He reflects on how much Cheon has changed. When Cheon was just a child, Beck had been sure that they would dispose of him due to his frail body and lack of martial arts knowledge. But now, after seeing the state of his health, the old man believes Cheon has more potential for learning the arts than any other prince. The old man walks away, recalling that Cheon was still the illegitimate son of the Lord. However, he can't deny that Cheon is likely pretending to be indifferent about it, even as he dives deeper into everything. Baek clasps his hands behind his back, deciding that if the Lord is secretly helping Cheon, there's no need to make it public. He figures that the academy, once it opens, will be full of noise.